Well, in a few hours' time, this place will be absolutely buzzing. It's arguably the most important day in the England squad's careers, and for many of the fans as well who've never been to a major final. We can speak now to former Liverpool and England defender Jamie Carragher. Good morning, Jamie. Did it feel like waking up on Christmas Day?
Uh, yeah, I suppose so. Certainly a few years ago, Christmas Day. But no, it was no, it's an exciting day for everyone. It doesn't obviously come round very often that we're in situations like this, and a lot of people watching the game tonight, obviously myself included, can't remember '66. So it is a huge day for England and the football team, and I think we've all got our fingers crossed that they can pull it off tonight.
Many of these players know what it's like to wake up on FA Cup final day, Champions League final day, but for a final of this magnitude, can you imagine how the players are going to be feeling right now?
Yeah, it is. It would be interesting to see how well certain players slept, how they sort of fill the time throughout the day without, the minds wandering on the game. They'll have family and friends getting in touch, sending good luck messages, and it is tough to switch off, especially when the game's in the evening. It takes you back to maybe a Champions League final that's maybe somewhere close where you have that wait all day, and it's just trying to fill that day and not letting too much get into it inside your head and worry and get too nervous because, as I said, you don't want to waste any nervous energy throughout the day. So it won't be easy, but you always know in these situations, the same for both teams, and the Italian players will be going through exactly the same.
We did hear a little bit earlier, I'm sure Gary Cottrell will bring us up to date with it. There were fireworks going off outside the Italian hotel in the early hours of the morning. Let's hope for their sake that they slept through it. The England fans, but if it was England fans that set them off, we don't know that. That's probably their plan to try and disrupt things a little bit. But how important is it not to disrupt a routine? And how important is it to try and stick to a routine, as you mentioned, when it is a late kick-off, like a Champions League final that many of these players have been involved in?
Yeah, but they will have a routine with Gareth in the squad. More often than not, I've seen England play of an evening. A lot of the games in this tournament have been in a similar situation at Wembley. Only have to go back to the semi-final against Denmark. I'm sure nothing will change, and that'll be the big thing. You don't change your routine as a staff, as a player, just because it's a final. You try and keep things as normal as possible and don't almost think so much of the magnitude of what's at stake. Of course, all the players know what's at stake, but you don't want to just change anything because of the magnitude of this game. And as I said, they've done well enough what they've done up until now. So I'm sure nothing will change.
Will the starting lineup change, though? That's the big question, isn't it, Jamie? Southgate actually hasn't picked the same team twice in a row since Croatia in a World Cup semi-final. That was back in 2018. Do you think now is the time to stick?
Yeah, I think it is. I'd have actually stuck with the team that played against Ukraine. I was surprised when Saka came in, even though he'd done really well when he played. I thought Sancho did really well against Ukraine. There was a lot of interchanging between the front three. And I was actually surprised Gareth changed again. So I can't say I'll be hugely surprised if he changes again because he's done it so often. It keeps the opposition guessing. But no, I just think, Saka's done really well again in the last game. And I just think you need that pace and that energy around Harry Kane to make runs in behind the Italian defence. And I think that's why he'll get the nod over maybe a Phil Foden or a Jack Grealish. Sancho can offer that pacing behind as well. But I think that's what the England manager's thinking, that he needs two players to penetrate in behind Harry Kane. Harry Kane drop deep, maybe get on the ball and play some clever passes as he did against Denmark for the first goal.
The Italians think Jack Grealish could be as good as Gaza and Totti. They're hoping that he's not going to be starting. Is it the right decision to keep him on the bench, do you think?
Yes, I think so. I think for that reason of the makeup of the team, it's certainly not a quality issue with Jack. I think every time he's played in this tournament, whether off the bench or I think he starts one game, he's done really well. It's just the fact that I think when you've got Kane, he's your captain, he's your main guy up front, and the way his game's evolved, where he comes off to feet a lot more rather than going in behind. You want players who can penetrate in behind. We know Raheem Sterling does that. And I think you always want one other out of that front three. So I think that's just been a bit unfortunate for Jack. Maybe even Phil Foden as well, where they like to come maybe more into midfield. And that's what Harry Kane likes to do as well. So I think that's just been the slight problem for them, the makeup of the rest of the team, rather than their own performances or quality of Jack Grealish.
A lot of these fans, obviously huge Grealish fans, will be wanting to see him start, or if not coming on at a key moment. How much of an advantage does that give England today, the fact that Wembley will be full of majority English supporters?
I think it's a huge advantage. And it's not just England in this tournament. If you go through history of, tournament football, more often than not, the host nation overachieve or do more than what we normally expect. And I don't think anyone expected England to go and win this tournament. We thought they would get to maybe semi-final, maybe a final. We're in there, we'll see what happens. But I think England have exceeded expectations. And I think, a lot of teams do that when they're the host nation. So it shows how pivotal it is. Home advantage, the crowd on your side, playing in a stadium that you know so well. So they are huge factors, but it's no different for England than any other host nation in the past.
This isn't a typical Italian side, is it? They can play in so many different ways. So tactically, what's the best way to play against them?
Well, I think a lot's been made about the centre-back partnership, and they're outstanding. They've been legendary players for the country and for the club, certainly Juventus. And you shouldn't forget how old they are, though. And I think England can outrun them basically in this game. I think the energy from the bench will be vital. I think as it was in the Denmark game, it'll be a really tight game because I think we are looking at the two best teams in this tournament, certainly on form. So I think it's the right final. And I think the bench is going to play a huge part in this game. But I think midfield is key for England. If England don't get the centre of midfield right, that's where they could have a huge problem. I think Italy are really strong through the centre of the pitch, certainly at centre-back and central midfield. And I think there's a lot of onus on England's midfield three in this game. And I think if they perform and they can get after the Italians in midfield, I think England have got enough, certainly in the attacking areas of the pitch, to win the game. But midfield's a real strength of Italy. So that's where I think England have got to try and really get on top and really make it difficult. So it'll be Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, and I think Mason Mount in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back to talking about, defensively, the Italians. There's a lot of talk, isn't there, about the battle between Chiellini and Bonucci and Kane. How are they going to cope with Sterling, though?
Well, no one has coped with Raheem Sterling right throughout this tournament. So I think if England win tonight, he gets player of the tournament. I think he's been outstanding. He really has. And his position was questioned before the tournament, whether he would be in the team, maybe because it wasn't his best season at Man City. But Raheem Sterling always has to be in this England team for what we've seen in these last few weeks. The pace he provides in the team and also the goals he's provided since the last World Cup, under Gareth Southgate, a huge goal threat, him and Harry Kane together. So those two are always going to be in that team. So, yes, they can talk about how you can stop them, but I think if you can continually make runs in behind Italy's centre-backs and the right full-back, I think there will be a case for Raheem Sterling at some stage going to the right, as he did against Denmark, and causing Emerson a huge problem on that side for Italy, who's not a great defender. So I think that'll be an obvious change at some stage where Jack Grealish comes on the left and Raheem goes on the right to have a go at Emerson, from Chelsea, who hasn't played a lot of football this season. So he's the one, I think, if you're looking at causing Italy real problems, Raheem Sterling has definitely been England's danger man in this tournament.
Looking at this Italian side, how many would get in the England team?
I think the goalkeeper. I'd say one of the centre-backs. Maybe Bonucci and put... I don't know, Chiellini. I love the two of them, actually. But I think Harry Maguire's been outstanding in this tournament as well. So let's say one of the centre-backs, the goalkeeper. I think the two midfielders in Jorginho and Verratti would get in. The front three... no, that's it. I'll go with that. I'll go with the keeper as centre-back. So I think we've got 4 players there. That's enough.
There you go. Just putting you on the spot there. Thanks for that. Where are you going to be? Where are you watching this tonight, Jamie? What's your pre-match ritual as well?
Well, I've watched the games at home, so I think we're going to get a little bit of food in, a couple of drinks, and get a little bit of family round, and we're going to watch the game. Yeah, that's what we've done throughout the tournament. You've got to I've been maybe a little bit too late to book a table in a pub. at the moment. But I think when you go to the pub, you can sometimes get lost with what's going on. So I want to try and watch it. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure I have to speak to you tomorrow at some stage. So I'll have to not be too worse for wear and have me football hat on and watch the game properly. Because yeah, we can talk about it exciting and looking forward to it now, but I think that's what it is. It's not just people up and down the country maybe nervous for England. I think it's a game to really enjoy and watch, because we're watching two really good teams, and I'm really intrigued to see how the game goes.
Will you wear an England shirt and watch it?
No, I don't think so. That's not my style. No, I've got my gym gear on. I might have, whether I go to the gym or not, I'll keep this on. No, I'm not just an English shirt. Even putting football shirts on, I don't think it's not my scene. Put it that way.
There's enough shirts around here, though, and I'm really surprised, actually, Jim. I'm glad you haven't done it. There are a lot of dodgy bleach doos around here. Phil Foden's got a lot to answer for, of course, channeling Gaza from back in the day. I've never seen, and I know a good bleach do when I see it as well. But yeah, there's a few dodgy Barnets walking around Wembley. Give us a prediction then for tonight. Will England be lifting that trophy? How do you think it's going to go? Do you envisage extra time? What about penalties?
I do think England will win. I do envisage extra time. Whether that then goes to penalties or not, I'm not quite sure at this moment, because I think the strength of England's bench and the fact you can make 5 substitutes is a huge advantage for England. I think that played a big part in the game against Denmark. So I think if it actually goes to extra time, that's almost a bonus for England. I mean, you'd want to win it in 90 minutes, but if it went to extra time, I think England would be in a lot better position than Italy would. Whether Italy could then hang on and take it to penalties, as they did against Spain, that's possibly up to their, defensive solidity. But I think England will win, and I think it will go to extra time, and it just decides whether they'll win it on a penalty shootout. I mean, to be honest, their goalkeeper's a huge size. I think if they go to penalties, you maybe would have to maybe favour Italy, but that can go either way, a penalty shootout. But I'm going to go for England to win it in extra time.
Okay, Jamie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for sparing the time to have a chat with us this morning. Enjoy the game, and hopefully when we speak to you tomorrow, we'll be celebrating.
Okay, fingers crossed. Thanks, Hayley.